Hello, everybody, and welcome to Richmond Raceway here for the Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series. Hello, my name is Christian Delgado, your producer and commentator for tonight's race. And tonight in the booth, no Gavin Austin, unfortunately, but we still do have Peter. Peter, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Christian. Really excited to be out here, be back for another Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series race here with SSR, and it's at a beautiful Richmond Raceway. Gonna be under the light. Should be an exciting one tonight.
Yeah, definitely exciting. I mean, Richmond is it's such. I would, in my opinion, it's kind of like it's a different track compared to like your Martinsville or your Bristol, right? Bristol very high banked and everything else like that. Martinsville, very, you can really give the bumper to another truck here versus Richmond, where I feel like it's just about patience, hitting your marks, and being, having the being consistent here versus some of these other tracks.
Yeah, 3/4 of a mile makes it a unique short track. A lot of these short tracks on the NASCAR calendar are half a mile around there. So it kind of stands alone, and it's also such a unique shape to have that trial. Well, the start-finish line is not centered down the front straightaway. All these little things provide for such an interesting track for these trucks to race around.
No, definitely. I mean, and it's one of those one tracks that I feel like there's really only one lane that you can really use here, especially in the trucks. And you're going to see all these trucks kind of migrate to the bottom here. You might see some people trying the top to try to make some passes. They're trying to make up some ground here. Richmond, one of the kind of the few tracks that the IRL NASCAR schedule goes to, where there's really one defined line here that these trucks are going to have to use.
Yeah, and the Truck Series in real life was just here last weekend, and if you guys watch that on TV, you'll see kind of a imitation, I guess, but these drivers completely different. They're going to be racing their own race here tonight, and not only is this week matter, but they're setting up for next week, where next week's a complete wild card, so you want to get all your points in before then.
No, definitely a wild card with Knoxville coming up here. But we're watching Cody DeForge here, actually one of your league sponsors for the Race City Race Memorabilia. But he's making some laps right now. Currently P6 in practice, so good run for him on that number 24 machine.
Yeah, DeForge has been fast really all season so far, and consistently finding him in one of those top 5 positions, like you said, league sponsor. He definitely has some moments where I'm sure some of these drivers are enemies with him, but it makes him such an interesting driver to watch because he's not afraid to go out there and use the bumper, not afraid to make people upset. He's out there for himself and get those points.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't see a lot, especially in these style of like truck leagues and stuff like that. You don't really see that a lot, where it's kind of like, hey, I'm gonna do what I need to do to run well, and if you don't like it, I mean, so be it, right? You see a lot of people that are willing to give people breaks and stuff because as it's a long season. Some people don't want to put themselves in a position to have to be that way, but Cody isn't afraid to put people in an awkward spots like that. And honestly, I can respect that for a driver like that. Willing to get the elbows out, willing to do what he needs to get a good placement here.
Yeah, right now you're watching John Fowler in the 94. He had a good run last week at Chicagoland and showed a lot of speed there, ended up coming up short due to a wreck towards the end where he went spinning through the infield, but he's going to be looking to kind of back up that performance and maybe finish off what he couldn't last week.
Yeah, John, very, very good performance. Very something that you really want to see from him. I know he definitely hasn't been as happy with the way he's been running lately, so you love to see that for him. Coming back out there, showing speed. Leading some laps out there at Chicagoland, but qualifying underway here, and we're gonna see who comes out here first. Looks like we're gonna grab Sam Kohlhaas here in this number 28.
Yeah, Sam has had a really interesting year, especially the last couple of races, basically since the All-Star race, and he's been putting some great runs together and getting those points, and that's kind of the important part about this season. It's a longer season. As long as you can just kind of keep up there, get into the playoffs, because we do have a playoff system, as long as you can just point your way in, you don't even need a win, you just need to be consistent. He's doing that.
Yeah, I mean Sam, very consistent driver. I mean he has shown some pace here and there. He'll go up there, race for a top 5, but now, as you said, Peter, I can't agree more. Very consistent, keeps that truck clean for the most part, unless he gets caught up in something out of his doing. But Sam right now coming out on his second lap right now, currently P5. Let's see what we can do here.
Yeah, and he's 12th in the points, so that gives you a little bit of a idea of where he points himself right now. Oh, well, that second lap ends. I mean, he did cross the line before he hit the wall, so that lap does count. But currently sitting P11.
Yeah, that lap was not quicker just due to that tire spin. Joe Hudson right now, your pole sitter with a 21.759 here. You know, Joe, we've talked about it with John. We've talked about it, I think, on a broadcast, how up and down he is. He's either up there, dominating, competing for a win, or he's back there, kind of struggling to keep that car underneath him, or that truck underneath him. But now your pole sitter.
Yeah, and if you don't count the All-Star race, the last short track that we were at was IRP, and Joe had a really good run there. I believe came home second. He really seems to fit these, or I would say these shorter tracks really seem to fit him, because once again, he shows himself towards the top of the charts.
And definitely, I think the short tracks are really his bread and butter, especially not only here in the Truck Series, but he's definitely shown pace there in the Cup Series here for SSR. So I think definitely the short tracks are a strong suit. Maybe, I mean, the short tracks especially drive a lot different compared to the mile and a half suit. So I think definitely Joe would probably like to, find a little bit more pace there. But obviously you can see right here, he's got these trucks locked down here at these shorter style tracks.
Yeah, but don't count out currently the driver you're watching, Jordan LaFawn. He was quickest in practice, just barely over Joe Hudson. His first lap he used to build up speed coming out of turn 4. We're going to see this should be his money one. He's going to lose it. Jordan LaFawn is going to be starting towards the back after quickest in practice. And that has got to be a shocker, probably to him.
Yeah, I mean, the way he took that lap, I think he expected to not do that. And obviously, with the cold tires, especially in these trucks, you overstep it just that tiny little bit, and you're going around, especially out of turn 4 here. You see the 13 getting upset out of turn 4 here. Turn 4 and turn 2 here at Richmond are just such a struggle trying to get back in the power here. But it's that fine line, right? You have to get as much out of the truck you can in qualifying, and you saw with a couple of drivers there, just barely overstepping in. I mean, that's going to very badly negate that lap time.
Yeah, you're watching Brandon Honeycutt at the moment. He was your winner last week at Chicagoland after the crazy strategy call. And currently does not have a lap on the board. From what it looks like, he actually did try and set his 2 laps, and they did not count due to some sort of incident. So he's just trying to make laps right now, see how the truck's going to feel, get that little bit of practice in. I know you're an advocate for that, Christian, getting all the practice you can, even at the end of qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with how, dynamic the track can be and how different it can feel, it can drive one way in practice. You're going to qualifying and it's polar opposite. It can, drive so much different. And usually the qualifying, track conditions usually carry over to the race. So I'm definitely a huge advocate, as you said, of, running out after qualifying, trying to just get as many laps in, trying to get into a rhythm, right? Because you're not going to be running quality laps at the start of the race. I would hope not. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these drivers aren't going to push the truck that hard at the start of the race. So I definitely think it's good to go in there, get some laps under your belt, try to find a pace that you want to set, and try to keep that pace throughout the race.
Yeah, and qualifying is also just closer to the race. You're going to get a better idea of what the track's going to feel like at the beginning of the race when it goes green. And, I mean, even that 5 minutes between the end of practice and the start of the race could be a big difference in how the track handles.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. But with qualifying underway, Joe Hudson is going to take your pole away here with, I believe that's Blake Murray in P2. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get your starting lineup underway here. So your pole sitter here, Joe Hudson. Once again, we talked about him being very quick at these short tracks, and Blake Murray what a season for him right now. But he's going to be your outside pole sitter here. Brandon Zimmerman, your P3 driver, with Lane Phillips going to be your fast 4. John Fowler in that P6 position, and Cody DeForge in that number 24 machine in P7. Brandon Massey in P8 with Leroy Koblitz in your P9. And rounding out your top 10 is going to be Craig Schroeder.
Xander DeForge is going to be in the 11th spot, and then on his outside, it's going to be Jeremy Vaughn. In the 13th position, Sam Colas and his brother Ira Colas is going to be starting on his outside in 14th. In 15th, Jordan LaFawn, quickest in practice, starting towards the back of the field, and on his outside, it's gonna end up being James Smith. Behind them, Brandon Honeycutt, and then Brandon Sanfilippo. Bryce Dickinson is going to be in the 20th spot, and then Kensley Smith in 21st, and rounding out your field will be Ty Dickinson in the final and 22nd position. Big field of drivers here for Richmond Raceway.
Definitely 22 trucks here. Gonna try to take this green flag away, and I mean, yeah, that's definitely a bigger field size that I think we've seen here on HVTV. So super excited to see what these drivers can do here, but waiting on drivers to grid up here. Let's talk about some of the key storylines. We talked about Joe Hudson here. Being quick here at the short tracks, going to be your pole sitter. Definitely look for him, and then you have to definitely look at Blake Murray. I mean, he's rattled off a couple of wins here and has shown speed really everywhere we've gone.
Oh yeah, Blake Murray is no doubt always a force every time we come out here, and it is I think it's going to be a little nice from his point of view that he doesn't have to come from the back, because most of the races this year he has done so.
I have to give a huge shout. I also have to give a shout out to McKellar here. William McKellar has shown very quick pace here. You know, won your All-Star race here. But before we go green here, I have to give a huge shout out here. Starting P5 up towards the front here. I look for him to make a move up for this win.
Yeah, McKellar no doubt will be strong coming from that third row, and should be an exciting race to watch here from Richmond Raceway.
As the pace car is going to pull off here. We're going to hand the race back over to Barney.
One more.
Not quite. I got a little trigger happy here.
I think we're all ready to go green.
Yeah, I saw the lights on the pace car were off, so I assumed we were going green here. But yeah,
more lap.
But 200 laps here, quite a few laps here for this truck series. So definitely going to be an endurance style race. Definitely trucks are going to have to, you know, these drivers are going to have to keep these trucks underneath them. 200 laps, even for short tracks, quite a bit here for especially a truck series.
Yeah, long way to go. Tire saving is probably going to be the name of the game, as it is at most short tracks with these trucks. But this time, we will hand it off to Barney, and the pace car will pull off for the first time today.
Going to the Geico restarts, and we are green here from Richmond. Going into lap 2 here, Joe Hudson, your leader here, but still a battle up here for this P2 spot. You have Brandon Zimmerman all over the back end of that 83 of Blake Murray.
Top 5, 6 have single filed out and began to pull away, but that does not negate the battles, because they are still on each other's rear, up the deck lid of the other drivers, just trying to take it easy right now. No worries about getting spots at this point. Still 197 more laps to go around at this Richmond Raceway.
I see this top 7, top 8 right here, single file. The closest battle over here is for Craig Schroeder, who just took that spot away from Brandon Massey. He's going to move his way up into the 8th place spot.
Behind Schroeder, it's kind of a hornet's nest. Multiple trucks under a blanket, kind of starting with Xander DeForge in the 48 machine. Other trucks fighting behind. You see that Jordan Laughlin got sideways going into the corner, hopped on the brakes a little too hard. He regains control.
See the 48 underneath the 3 of Jeremy Vaughn here. Looking for that P10 spot. Underneath the 87, he's going to get a 2-for-1 here, and he's going to move up in the 9th.
Got the deal in the corner and completed it. That's Xander DeForge up 2 more spots, and he kind of caught, I think, Brandon Massey off guard a little bit there.
You saw 3 wide in the back there. I think that was Koblitz back there trying to make a move here, but going back side by side here. And you see the further behind here, I think that is the 50s. The 114, James Loafin here. Remember, fastest of practice. He's going to try to make his way back up here as quick as he can.
Yeah, and he's wasting no time using that bottom line to his advantage. It is interesting to see some of these trucks back here using the middle. Massey is one of those, and Vaughn was also one to follow suit. But it's kind of giving lanes here to Jordan Lafon. I think it's the lane he wants.
I mean, the bottom is definitely, as we talked about in the pre-race, kind of going to be the preferred lane here. And as long as you can wrap it, get a good run off, that's going to be an easy, he's going to be picking these guys off easy. You see him make that pass on the number 87 at Brandon Massey. He's going to move his way all the way back up to the top 10 already.
Drivers taking it very easy on the corner exits here. We saw it a lot in qualifying just alone. Drivers losing it all by themselves coming out of turn 4 and a little bit out of turn 2. But so far, most drivers have done a great job holding onto it with these cold tires.
No, definitely. I mean, I have to manage the truck right here with the cold tires. They're going to be slippy. They're going to be slidey right now. No, the track temp is still cold, and we have a wreck in the back here. It looks like James Smith going to go for a spin here.
Yeah, and James Smith and Bryce Dickinson are the two trucks involved in that one. And I may have spoken a little too soon. We're going to see on the HBTV replay what was the cause of that one. See Smith sliding up a little higher exit and then just kind of goes around, maybe too much wheel into it, trying to keep it off the wall. And unfortunately, Bryce Dickinson really had nowhere to go.
Yeah, nowhere to go for Dickinson. I mean, and that's a bad spot to be in, really, for Dickinson. I mean, you can't really lift, you can't really do anything. You're just kind of along for the ride there. But looks like not a lot of damage on that 10 car. Looks like minor damage. The 84 right there. You see a little bit of right front damage, but definitely could be worse. I think definitely both of them got out of there pretty unscathed. You'll probably see the truck go down there and try to get a little bit of that damage fixed, but definitely could have been worse.
Yeah, I mean, it's a short track, so you got time, and it's also not as important to get that damage fixed as it may seem. So, I mean, like, that aero damage is not as big of a factor as it would be on a track, let's say, like Chicagoland, where we were last week.
Yeah, exactly. With these short tracks, you can afford to get some, aero damage, because, these at these shorter tracks, you're not very aero deficient. You will see some drivers talk about dirty area, especially on the exit of the corner when you get some tire wear, but it's not going to really slow you down having a little bit of damage there. I mean, it's definitely might not drive the way you want it, but it's definitely not going to impede the truck at all.
Yeah, pace light's still on the pace car. One of the drivers involved in that one did come down. That was James Smith. And worked on getting a little damage repaired. There is still some crinkled up on the rear end of that machine, but besides that, he, I think, maybe have gotten some tires and get back out there. Obviously, you don't want flat-spotted tires for too many laps around here.
Yeah, but you also have to think about, I mean, he used a setup there. I'm not sure how many tire sets we have here in this race, but, I mean, he probably didn't want to use the setup there with only 10 laps complete here. 200 laps here, as we talk about in the pre-race, a long ways for these trucks, and I mean that, probably not what you want to see there is having to use it up with not even 20 laps complete.
Yeah, he's gonna really have to change his whole entire strategy now from this point, but sometimes that's what you gotta do. Sometimes it's your only choice. This is, I think, a point where maybe we'd be wishing that you could put scuffs on in iRacing, and we're praying to iRacing that they might add that someday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's something that, it would be honestly, like, very nice to have in the sim, right? I mean, you go down there, you run a couple laps. I mean, even, like, in real life, you see there that I'm pretty sure, at least, that in real life, right, the cup drivers and everything, they have to run their qualifying scuffs at the start of the race. So that's why you'll see a lot of drivers try to save those tires during qualifying so they can, have a decent run there at the start of the race.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they would implement it, but I think a lot of the oval community would welcome it. I think there's no doubt in my mind about that. Pace lights are off, and we're going to be restarting in 3/4 of a mile.
Lights are on the pace car off. Once again, you see Joe Hudson has led every lap here, and Blake Murray still maintaining that P2 spot. Lane Phillips up one spot, and then Brandon Zimmerman going to be your fast four.
Drivers put back double file now. We saw them single file out very quick on the initial race start. We're gonna see if they decide to do that again, or if maybe they get a little more racy. In the restart zone, it's in control of Joe Hudson. He gets away strong. We are back underway from Richmond.
Joe, tried to clear himself on 83 there. Not going to be able to do it. 83 is going to be on his outside going to turn 1, but he should clear coming at it too.
Yeah, Blake Murray shuts the door on the nose of the 65 of Zimmerman there, and now he's actually going to look at a run for Hudson. Shallower entry, and he gives up a lot there on the entry. Hudson pulls 3-4 car lengths now on the 83 machine as he sticks in the second spot.
Yeah, battle for P3 here. Lane Phillips versus Brandon Zimmerman here. Zimmerman underneath the 6 here. We're on the bottom. The 6 should get a good run off the top here, but they're still going to stay side by side going into 3.
Phillips having a great run already this early on, and don't look now, but behind them, William McKellar, we talked about him. He started from the 3rd row on the initial race start. He's hoping these two keep battling so that he can maybe join the fight and go for P3.
Yeah, McKellar just doing what he does best right now, just keeping his truck at it. As I said, at end of the wall, commentator's cursed, but trying to just keep that truck clean, and he's going to be under fire by the forward here.
Yeah, big mistake there, and right as he did that, they actually kind of single-filed out ahead of them. That was Zimmerman and Phillips, who got back single-file, and the shocking thing was that they were still kind of catching Blake Murray. I don't know if Murray is going the saving tires route here compared to Hudson, who's kind of pulling away. It's going to be a while until we can really figure that out, but, you know, we can always theorize about that.
Yeah, one thing that you have to think about is this stint has to go a little bit longer for us to see who's pushing, who's not. You know, you see Joe starting to kind of put a little bit of a gap on your second place driver here, but as you see, Joe gets a little sideways out of 2 there. But we're gonna have to have a little bit of a longer run to see who's saving, who's not. We're gonna have comers and goers, especially at this style of racetrack.
Yeah, and at this point, it really is just mostly single file all the way back to Jordan LaFawn and Craig Schroeder in the 6th position, battling for the 7th position. Sorry, they were side by side. They've single filed out pretty quickly, so now it's back to single file through the majority of the field, and it's almost a repeat of what we saw at the beginning of this race.
Yeah, you just see the truck drivers trying to get a feel for the truck, get a feel for what they want to do here, and obviously it's very avid here that these guys are trying to save their equipment, trying to save their tires, try to make a run later on. You don't see everybody very urgent to try to make up spots, trying to be aggressive and trying to put people in an awkward spot here. You know, 20 of 200 still a long way to go here. 180 right here on the dot left to go here.
Yeah, and Murray's reeled back in Hudson, and some of these camera shots, it looks like there's a train that all these trucks could maybe be just connected together, like that one down the back straightaway. They're all in each other's tire tracks, and nobody's really trying anything. The only slight difference is how the entries line up, but besides that, it's almost, I think you could line them up. You wouldn't even tell there's more than one truck there.
No, definitely. You could just see them kind of just following each other around, trying to... I feel like in a way, you know, when you do this, you're trying to size each other up, like, hey, and just trying to figure out what lines everybody's trying to take here, what entry, what exit speed they have, and trying to just learn. You know, obviously Joe and Blake have kind of been up front up here now, but you see Lane Phillips up a spot. You see, Jordan LaFawn up 8 spots. You know, they're going to have to learn how these other drivers are taking these different lines to try to improve their craft here at this track. And you're going to see them, you know, start to learn, trying to size each other up.
Yeah, Jordan LaFawn is really the one driver in this kind of front group who's actually making moves, attempting moves, and he's, I think, trying to make up for what he lost in qualifying there and get back to what the spot he might think he should be running in. But, you know, it's really going to be interesting to see how he plays it here as he gets farther towards the front of the field.
I saw McKellar on this onboard of LaFawn get into the wall there, and you're going to see the 144 underneath the 75 right here, trying to make the pass with P5 here.
Yeah, and you got to take it when that happens. When the driver in front of you catches the wall, you really got no choice because it's going to slow you down either way. You either go for it, or you stick him behind him and you lose ground because you had to slow down. So LaFawn's going to complete the pass as McKellar scraped the wall once more. And he's going to be up once again another position. Call it top 5, I think, now.
You see
6, almost. Nope, there it is. Sorry.
You see the 65 underneath the 6 again. You see these two battling since the start of this run here. And I think Brandon is just really desperate to try to get around here, trying to take that podium spot away. But yeah, I agree that 75, it looks like that truck is just kind of pushing 10 on the exit here. He's continually starting to get into the wall here. And you're going to start to see that the drivers who have pushed their trucks the most, they're going to start to push up and stuff like that and start to have trouble on corner exit here.
Yeah, but this is your time to learn how to compensate for that. If your truck's pushing tight, change up how you exit the corner. Change up how you entry so that it fixes your exit something. You got to try something so that later on in the race, if you have the same issue with your truck, maybe you can get right on top of it and catch it before you start dropping.
No, I definitely agree. And I feel like this is a big learning point, as I talked about before. See what everybody else is doing around you and try to adjust to that, right? If you're having trouble on exit, you see the McKellar on the wall again. If you see what everybody else is doing, and then try to adjust to that. Maybe try to back up your braking point. Maybe try to keep the wheel a little bit shorter on exit to negate what's going on here. But you see that 75 struggling on exit here.
Yeah, me and Gavin talked about it last week at Chicagoland. I think it applies for almost every race, every track. This beginning kind of first run, this first full-length run, is almost like a trial period, and it gives you the opportunity to test stuff out, see how your truck's going to run in traffic, see how it runs on older tires, see how it runs on newer tires. All of this is what you figure out in this first run, and you can take it into what happens later in the race.
I definitely agree. I mean, this first run, I feel like...
Cody DeForge just got turned going down the back straightaway.
Well,
sorry, I didn't mean to...
No, yeah. That is no issue there. Yeah, you see Cody DeForge around here. And we're going to try to take a look and see what happened here.
Yeah, we're going to see it. He's got Craig Schroeder behind him, and...
gets into the back of the 24 and just gets him around there. I mean, that's really nothing else you can say there. It looks like maybe the Forge was trying to back up his exit there. It looks like he was getting a little tight, had the lift there, and Craig just couldn't anticipate how slow the 24 was going and got in the back of him there, and around that 24 goes.
And if you look at Schroeder's entry to the corner, he enters a lot higher, and Apex is later, so he's going to get a bigger run off the corner than DeForge, and DeForge kind of has to check up because McKellar catches the apron, so it's kind of all a stack of DeForge having to check up and Schroeder just getting naturally better exit because of how he took the corner.
Yeah, that'll happen here. I mean, with these short tracks here, especially in the trucks where it is so easy and it's so difficult, like... And some of these other cars, like the Next Gen and stuff like that, you can't afford to kind of grab the apron a little bit, and with how heavy those Cup cars are, you can't afford to get on the apron and kind of save it without having any consequences. Versus the trucks, if you touch the apron just a little bit too much, that thing's gonna really not handle well for you, and you're gonna have to back it up and figure out what's going on there. And that's exactly what you saw there. McKellar getting on the apron, it caused a huge check up, and unfortunately the 56 getting in the back of the 24 there.
Yeah, kind of shockingly, not many people like to come down pit lane. I almost expected more people to come down, but it seems like that wasn't the case. I think Joe Hudson, though, gave up the lead.
Yeah, Joe Hudson gave up the lead there. Back in P18, you see McKellar back there. Also took a set. Yeah, I know. I think those are the only two that came out. James Smith is in the pit road right now, along with Ty Dickinson, I think. No, he's coming around here. I think he might be getting a lucky dog. But yeah, everybody elects to stay out here. 33 laps on those tires. I'm also very surprised that we didn't see more people down pit road.
I mean, you do have to think, like you said, 33 laps. When we go green, it'll be probably 35 or so. You could probably almost double that for gas, maybe even more. So maybe they are just literally trying to go until they can't no more, and they gotta come in. But I mean, I guess it really depends on tire sets. But if Joe Hudson, the leader, feels comfortable enough to come in and have tire sets at the end, I feel pretty confident in it. But I guess we'll have to see.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, Joe's definitely gonna have to push your tires, so I'm also going to be looking at him to see like how he drives through the field here. He's going to have, what, 35 lap fresher tires versus everybody else in front of him who didn't pit. I'm definitely going to be looking at this truck to see how much pace, loss there is compared to these fresh tires. It's definitely gonna be evident that he's gonna be trying to drive back up here to get that track position back.
Yeah, EOL for Craig Schroeder on that one. He is going to claim that one for anybody who is new here watching the Sweet Tea Gang SSR Truck Series. There's a claim system, so a driver can claim it, and they will be given an EOL. If nobody claims it, it'll go to a race control after the race is over, and a bigger penalty will be given out.
And that's something really special. I like about SSR, right? It gives the drivers the ability to claim the caution and, you know, take responsibility. But pace car's in, and we're gonna be going green here. Geico restart zone. Blake Murray's gonna lead us to green here.
Murray selects the bottom, and he gets away very good. He's got almost a truck length gap over Lane Phillips. Phillips seeing the top two for the first time today, and now Jordan LaFawn is sniffing that podium position as well. He's the big mover of the race right now.
Yeah, LaFawn up 12 spots up here, moving himself into the bottom part of that podium, getting around the 65 of Brandon Zimmerman, and you're going to see him probably going to attack this number 6 car, Lane Phillips.
Yeah, we'll see the different lines that they decide to run. Phillips decided to run a much more aggressive entry, try and sniff the back bumper of Blake Murray and Jordan LaFawn. He sets up his exit. Really different ends of the racetrack, though, for both these drivers. LaFawn, closest he's been to Phillips, was going into 3.
Yeah, you see the difference in how they set up the corners here. You see Lane kind of really try to be aggressive on entry, while you see the 144 a little bit better on exit here. Looks like Lane a little bit better in 1 and 2 here, but the 144 kind of closed up in 3 and 4.
Yeah, the different lines are very interesting because while they're both running the bottom, it's two completely different ideas of how to run the bottom. It's late apex, early apex. It's stuff that you might not even look at until it's really talked about, because we say it's a single groove racetrack, but there's so many different ways to run that one groove.
No, definitely there is, and you know, you have to think about, I mean, we talked about how really aero doesn't really matter here, but I think it definitely does when it comes to corner entry and stuff. I mean, you can definitely pack air onto the truck in front of you and get them loosened up there. So you're going to definitely see maybe some of these trucks try to get up there, get on that rear tailgate and start to pack air on the back there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. These top 4 have broken away. I do want to go back to 5th right now. Kensley Smith has entered that 5th position. Started 21st. Big moves right now. Smith had a rough race last week. A really hard hit at Chicagoland. Happy to see them back and up front here tonight.
All right, now currently your biggest move out 15 spots here. I mean, even Jordan can't beat that right now. So what a phenomenal run for Kensley right here in that Napa machine. And hopefully Kenley can keep that truck up there.
Yeah, Jordan couldn't even beat that if he got to the lead because he started 15th. So Kensley definitely has what looks to be possibly the speed to be your biggest mover and maybe even go up there and challenge for that win. Right now, kind of just riding around all on their own.
And look at Joe Hudson, who already up the P6 here on those fresh tires. So not a problem for him to drive up to the field here. He's already trying to run down this number 5 car for this the number 5 for the number 5 spot.
Yeah, I'm so happy you caught that because it shows the biggest difference between these fresher tires and these much older tires, which are now 43 laps old compared to Hudson's 11 lap old tires. He has been on the absolute move, and look at the speed that he's catching Kensley Smith.
Yeah, I mean, right now we'll take a look at lap times once they cross the line here, but that last lap 2/10 quicker than your leader of Blake Murray.
And that's not a lap to scoff about for Blake Murray because, you know, he's always on it. And even on these older tires, he's going to be one of the faster drivers out on the track. So Joe Hudson being 2/10 quicker against what was basically his competition the first run of this race has got to feel good for him. It's going to be really interesting to see if he can get up there.
Yeah, Joe ran a 22.5 versus Blake Murray's 22.9. So that's almost a half a second quicker than your race leader here. So, I mean, he did use the setup a little bit earlier than everybody else there, but you could definitely see the advantages of taking those fresh tires.
Yeah, and Christian, do you think that these guys in the top 4 are looking at their relatives, seeing him close in, and Do you think they're worried about him at all?
I definitely think they have to be, right? Half a second is quite a bit of time, especially the short track here. They're running 22-second laps here. Maybe at like an Indianapolis or someone like that. 2 second, I mean half a second. You know, you could give it up to here and there. But at short track, half a second is a lot more than what you think here. And I mean, these guys are definitely learning from what Joe has done here, taking this extra set, seeing what the pace difference is right now.
Yeah, and just 4 laps ago, he has made so much time up, because 4 laps ago he was so much farther back. He was all the way back behind Kensley Smith, battling with and around the position that John Fowler is in now, and that is almost half a straightaway. It is half a straightaway of distance that he's made up in about 4 laps. He's now caught the back. Oh, and a caution's gonna wave. Right as I say that, I was about to say he's caught the back of these front 4.
I'm trying to find where it's all doing. It looks like they ended up the Forge having some damage here, so we'll take a look at him and see if he can show us the way here.
And Bryce Dickinson's involved in it once again. A little deja vu, the same spot. But we're going to get it on the HVTV replay.
It's like the 48 just sending it deep in there, trying to take advantage of the 84. 84 gets loose, hooks the 48 into the outside wall, and the 24 is going to flip his son and also get involved in that. So it just looks like the 48 just, I don't know if he meant to do that, but kind of just drove it in there kind of a lot more deep than I think the 84 expected to. And really nowhere for that 84 to go.
8 tires corner better than 4, but it cornered good all the way until the straightaway. A very pretty big contact with the 24 too of Cody DeForge. DeForge's truck got a little bit in the air even from that contact. It's gonna be interesting to see how much damage he has after that.
Let's take a look at that 24 machine here. Yeah, a lot of left front damage, right front damage there. And definitely can't be happy with the way his race has gone this far. You know, we talked about him being aggressive in most of these races, but really hasn't had the opportunity to, right? You know, got spun out by the 56 and now getting caught up in this wreck.
Yeah, we are now officially a quarter of the way done through this race, and I think, Christian, that this would be a good time for a commercial break. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic idea. So we're gonna give a little shout out, pay some bills, and we will be right back just after these messages.
Welcome to Scary Strokes, where fun meets fright, where every experience transports you to a world of fun. Play 18 holes of blacklight mini-golf in ancient Egypt, a haunted house, and beyond the grave. Step inside our virtual reality arena, where you take control of video games and virtual worlds. Battle robots, shoot zombies, and compete against your friends. Throw your next birthday with our VIP Party Pack. Our party pros are ready to entertain you with a fright fest you'll never forget. Perfect for an action-packed date night full of flirty fun. Our state-of-the-art arcade has the latest games with the coolest prizes. Be sure to feast on some tasty morsels in the Graveyard Grill. So come on, bring your ghoulish gang over to Scary Strokes, where every experience matters.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Pace car in, going to the Geico restart zone, and Blake Murray's going to lead us back to green here. Great restart by the 6-car Lane Phillips.
Yeah, Phillips with an incredible restart to stay with the 83. It's basically the opposite of what happened on the last caution restart because Murray pulled out a big lead last time. Now he actually has company. Phillips dives it into the corner. LaFawn waiting in the wings. They're going to be side by side coming to the front straightaway.
A little bit of contact between the 6 and 83 there going into turn 3 and 4. And Blake is going to muscle his way ahead of the 6-car now. And 144 and the 6 are going to battle for that P2 spot.
Yeah, and Jordan LaFawn now getting the opportunity really to go after Lane Phillips, and he's going to try and make the most out of it still, though. After that last caution, not really much has changed, like, pit stop-wise. These top bunch of people, except for Joe Hudson, who's taken over that 3rd spot from Phillips right now, have yet to pit 56 laps on these Goodyear tires. They have got to be feeling it by now.
Once again, we were talking about it before that caution came out. We have to look at this 49. Now he has a track position, and now he's going to be looking for that number 144 to take advantage of this P2 spot. I mean, if we have a caution here.
It's Xander DeForge again, all the way at turn 4. He was the cause of the last caution, or not the cause of it. He was involved in the last caution, though.
You're going to see him. He just gets loose here going into turn 3.
Yeah.
And, oh, just overcorrects on the outside wall. Hard hit for that number 48 truck. Surprised there's not more damage to that thing. But, yeah, I mean, that happens. You're driving the wheels off this thing, especially on cold tires. Looks like he did come down and take a set of tires here. The tires are still cold. Probably trying to figure out how that truck drives from the damage that he got in that last wreck. And, just overstepped it just a little bit too much, and round he goes.
Yeah, and you also got to think about possible brake bias changes during that run where the tires were older. You really change your brake bias to change how you drive into the corner, and if you forget to change it back, you could kind of lose it. It almost looked like a lot of rear brake bias in the truck. That's very similar to what you would experience from that.
Yeah, I didn't even think about like the brake bias or anything. So yeah, it does really look like maybe he put a little bit too much rear. Just went in, and then the truck was just out from underneath him before he even entered the corner, trying to save it, and just it's hard to save when you're that yawed out, and unfortunately kind of overcorrects into the outside wall. But like I said, surprised there wasn't more damage to that F-150.
Yeah, and I think this is a prime opportunity to bring Kensley Smith up into the booth. We were talking about him right before that last caution came out, and I'd love to talk to him about how his truck's doing. Kensley Smith, this is Peter and Christian up in the HVTV broadcasting booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Well, we wanted to catch you under this yellow because you're up a bunch of spots from where you started, and you're looking really strong. How's your truck feeling out there?
It's very slick. It's really a handful, so a lot of concentration has to go into it tonight.
Yeah, it looks really difficult to drive, especially on those colder tires, but you're doing a good job of it, and we just wanted to bring you up here, see what you were thinking, and we're going to send you back here so you can talk to your team about what you need to talk about. But good luck in the rest of this one.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and what a run for Kinsley here. I mean, up even losing a couple spots, up 13 spots here. Really showing, and I mean, you just heard it from himself. I mean, really difficult. This track seems very slick, very cold right now. So, now looking at the weather here, we didn't get to do that at the pre-race here, but 84 degrees here, a little bit of wind, a little bit of cloudy. So, I mean, it's definitely not as hot as probably some of these cars want. It's pretty cold. The track will be kind of slick here, and I mean, we've already seen a bunch of the trucks slipping and sliding. So.
Yeah, under the lights though, so that definitely that's a big shift. A lot of drivers, I mean, it's pretty easy to tell when it's daytime and when it's nighttime. If you're on the same setup on day and night, the truck's gonna drive completely differently. So, very different from what this race would feel like if it was a day race. But I think the pace lights are gonna be going off this time.
We should be going 1 to green here. We'll look at your pace car, and yes, they are. Lights are off on the pace car, so we will be going one to green this time by, and just a little over a quarter of the way done here at Richmond.
Yeah, pace cars leading a good amount of laps today. Oh, a little bit of contact from your leaders back there under yellow. Blake Murray and Jordan LaFawn. Not sure if that is playful or if it is a little bit of upset between the two.
I mean, they are not teammates, so it's not a little bit like a little bit of teammate beating and banging. Those guys definitely do. That is definitely not a Team Conti truck on the outside here. So I would assume I haven't seen any egregious racing between the two, but I guess we'll see going into the restart here. And Blake Murray's going to lead us back to green.
Yeah, Blake Murray has had a little bit of feud throughout this year, and that kind of comes with the territory of running up front. So not sure if he has one with Jordan LaFawn or not, but I mean, we might see it as the race plays out. Tempers flare, you get a little more desperate. We'll see what LaFawn has to do here.
I mean, you think about it, LaFawn hasn't raced the whole season here, so he's kind of the new guy that just has come up here and ran up front. And, you know, there's a lot of the time some of these guys that have ran in the league throughout the whole season, they don't really take to those type of people kindly of people just showing up and, you know, winning races and stuff. You know, especially in a position where you showed up late enough that you're not really racing for a championship. And it, you know, can be frustrating to some of these guys that are racing for the championship, trying to, you know, get this truck championship under their belt. And then you have, you know, some of these guys that come in here that are just racing for trophies because they aren't in contention to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, when you join a new league, I think there's two ways you can look at it. As a driver, you can either look at it as you gotta earn their respect. That takes some time. You gotta run clean for a while. You might be given up opportunities to go for wins to do that, or you can kind of force them to tolerate you by running up front a bunch, maybe showing them that you are not one to mess with. And Jordan LaFawn may be taking that route. It's definitely the quicker one. It can earn you some enemies, but in the long term, I think you earn some pretty hefty respect too.
No, definitely. If you can show that you have the pace, you have the, you know, the knowledge to run up front, and especially if you do it cleanly, I feel like it is the faster way to get more respect in any league, right? If you can go up there and compete for wins, compete for podiums, and not really get in the way of anybody, obviously, I mean, I feel like that's probably the best case scenario is to do that. But also, if you're just here racing for trophies and you don't really care, I mean, you're going to see some of those types of drivers be willing to put themselves in precarious situations to where they will, you know, start to make some enemies.
Yeah, and also just for reference, everybody watching at home, Cody and Xander DeForge are both out of the race and have left the session. Obviously, saw major damage for Cody DeForge in that one accident, and Xander DeForge had a pretty hard hit with the wall last time by. Maybe a little too much as Joe Hudson gets a little sideways here, as you saw. Just wanted to point that out for everybody at home.
Yeah, unfortunate for the DeForge household there. But you saw, once again, great save by Joe. I mean, you can see he's trying to push these tires the best they can. You know, he's got 4 fresh Goodyears, and he's going to try to use them the best he can right here.
A little bit for reference here, Joe Hudson has run about 38 laps on those tires, which is pretty close to the amount of laps he ran on his first set. So he's almost completely split, while these other guys have run the whole entire race, 70 laps coming to the line on the one set of tires, and it's kind of shocking how similar in speed Hudson is to these other two.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Joe had to drive through the field to get back up here to this podium spot here, so might have to use this stuff up a little bit more than some of these guys have. We know Blake is really good at tire saving here. We know, you know, Jordan has kind of been pretty content running where he is after he had to drive up to the field here. But Joe, you know, had to drive up basically from the back of the pack to get up here where he is now. Maybe use up his stuff a little bit more. You see the 144 in the wall.
Do you think that this sets up for the second half of the race the mindset that these drivers are going to take, as it seems like track position might be a little more important than, I mean, I expected, and some of the other guys may have expected.
Yeah, I mean, seeing Blake continue to lead here and, you know, run similar times to the 49. Right now you see the 49 right on him, though. Well, we'll see. Maybe the 49 was just trying to size him up. He's going to try the outside here in the turn 1.
Yeah, if he can make that work, that'll be pretty impressive. Doesn't quite do it. Blake Murray gets sideways off the corner. Good save by him, but Hudson is back to the outside of him.
Hudson's going to try to stick it down there. He's going to cross him over, going to the start-finish line. Side by side. across the start finish line. Let's see who gets into turn 1.
Blake Murray is getting desperate to try and hold on. He kind of cut Hudson's nose off, and then he kind of gave it away and gave it the shot to Joe Hudson coming through turn 2. He is not ready to give it up yet if he doesn't have to.
Joe takes the bump there with precision accuracy, and then just, I think he will drive away here. I mean, 33, 35 lap newer tires. I mean, I feel like that there has to be some sort of advantage. I think Joe, it looked like he had the same amount of pace, but I think he's going to start the pull here. I mean, as you see him actually starting the pull as I talk about that.
Yeah, and there's a certain point where you just cannot really fight it anymore, and that's that point for Blake Murray. If you sit in second, though, you're able to hold on to second. Let's say we get another caution. You're not really in too bad of a spot where you have one extra set of tires. You're in second, which is basically where you were when Joe Hudson came into the pits. And, I mean, really, what did you lose? You gained a set of tires, so it could kind of play out, but I almost feel like you definitely need a caution for this to work.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He needs a caution to let... I think Joe needs a caution to let his strategy play out. He has the fresher tires. He can't really afford to lose a set with what's going on here. So Joe right now just needs all these trucks to kind of figure things out, get settled down, and kind of run this out. But right now, I think we got Lane Phillips with William McKellar all over the back of him right here, trying to get this P4 spot away. At least he was.
Yeah, McKellar on the same strategy as Joe Hudson, the only 2 trucks in the field on 46 lap old tires. It's going to be interesting, though, with those other 3 kind of in between them, what fuel will look like. We haven't really talked about it much, but if we get a long enough run here, they are going to have to pit before Joe Hudson. There's no doubt they will have to. So I think they're probably hoping that they get a caution somewhere before then, but if not, you get those green flag pit stops, and then that really shakes up the field because you got to have 2 different trucks, or you have 2 trucks on a completely different strategy than almost the whole entire field.
We see Joe hasn't been really able to pull away here like we thought we would here. So, yeah, I mean, right now I think it's still advantage to these guys who stayed out, right? They pit now. If they have to pit before Joe, I mean, they're going to have to fresh Goodyear tires. And it's going to kind of force Joe probably to have to pit with them, right? And basically waste a set if he cannot pull out here to a bigger gap. And right now I think Blake and Jordan are doing a very good job keeping up with them as we McKellar underneath the 6 once again.
I didn't even think about it. Those 2 that, like, I really love that point because those 2 that came into the pits, they had to use the best part of their fresh tires to get through the field. If these front 3, like Blake Murray, Jordan LaFawn, Lane Phillips, they come into the pits, they're not going to have that traffic to get through on those fresh tires. They can make the most out of them, and that will no doubt circle around to them being ahead. I think you're right. It definitely forces Joe Hudson's hand in a really weird way that completely goes opposite to his strategy.
Yeah, I just don't know. Joe might be just trying to pace himself, but like if I'm Joe, I feel like I would have to try to get either pace yourself and trying to take the L and being content, you know, leading the race and pitting with them, or like we saw, you know, in the Cup Series at Richmond, you either have to gap as much as you can, or you have to kind of pace yourself. Obviously, the Cup Series race at Richmond this past weekend is a little bit different. They had the option tire, which is what gave Daniel Suarez the option to do what he did there. But Joe, I feel like is kind of in a similar spot, right? He's got the fresher tire, which you could kind of depict as the option tire. He either has to pace himself, or he really has to start to pull away from these guys.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it because it really is like I mean, for the people who watch the Cup race, like Christian said, Suarez on that option tire, he knew it was go time. He was able to pull out a big lead. Joe Hudson, I feel like at this point, isn't really able to make use of that fresher tire, that better tire, than you would think he should be able to. But I think that just really has to do with how much he had to use it up coming through the field. If he was at the front with those fresher tires, he would be in a lot better situation, probably be 10 or so car lengths up ahead.
No, I definitely agree. And as we pointed out, I mean, even McKellar struggling right now. He has still not been able to get around the six truck of Lane Phillips. And that just shows, I mean, how much the the tires get eaten up trying to make these passes, trying to work their way up, because you just have to work so much harder trying to get around these trucks. Because none of these trucks are gonna just pull over and let you go by. They know that you have the fresher tires, and they're gonna make you use them up. And that's exactly what I feel like is happening right now. You see McKellar trying to pressure the 6 here, but just not being able to get that truck to grip up enough to get around them. And the same thing with Joe, as we talked about before, cannot really get enough speed to gap at least the 83. The 83 has pulled a little bit of a gap on the 144, and even then, that's only half a second. So, I mean, that just really shows what you have to do to get back up here and retake that track position, even on new tires.
Yeah, and Blake Murray has actually run some laps here. That time by he wasn't, but he has run a couple where he was actually faster for the first time since really the pit stop, first actual green flag lap. Blake Murray has really stagnated those times, so they're much more similar to each other. And this is showing that that change in tires with how much it benefits you to save them. If you were looking at this like a graph, Joe Hudson with those fresh tires, he's basically caught up to Blake Murray, who was on the tires since the start of this race for 90 laps, nearing halfway of the race on one set of tires, and he is still basically able to run pretty similar lap times to Joe Hudson.
Yeah, I mean, you saw right there, and lost a lot of time there. I don't know if he made a mistake, but I feel like with 90 laps completed with these tires, this is, if you're going to see the tire advantage come now, like, you would think it would happen now, and you're starting to see Joe start the gap a little bit here, because, I mean, 90 laps is a long ways here at Richmond. So, you're starting to see Joe start to pull out a little bit of a lead here. 6/10 now. Looks like he is about... Oh, as I say that, I'm going to eat my words here, as Blake ran a faster lap than Joe.
Yeah, he proved you wrong right there. You're in the fastest lap almost on the track. There's a couple of cars who pitted more recently. There's Ira Colas who pitted on lap 33, or 33 laps ago. But yeah, that kind of changes a lot. Blake Murray now showing that maybe the tire advantage is still yet to hold on, or yet to hold off.
Yeah, I mean, and this is it's astounding to me that these guys on almost 100 lap tires can go as hard as they can still and maintain with some of these guys who already pitted, right? I mean, we've gone half the race. This is going to be probably our first green flag run here. Probably we're going to have green flag pit stops, and what we talked about earlier in the race is probably going to happen. I mean, Joe is going to have to pit with these guys unless he can, start to put some good lap times down. You see the 83 actually starting to run him back down.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think it was you spoke it into existence. Well, he's literally about to change. It's every time we talk about lap times, it's flip-flops. But last time you talked about it, right after that, Joe Hudson lost tons of ground, and he 3 laps in a row ran a slower lap time than Blake Murray. Not sure exactly what that was about, but Murray seems to really be kind of coming into form here. Hudson has kind of yet to run a 1 in the last 5 or so laps, while Murray has hit it just a couple times.
Yeah, you see a 2.9 to a 2.6 here. A 2.7, my apologies. So, I mean, almost running identical lap times here. You're going to see that you saw that 49 get a little loose out of 2 here. But, I mean, I feel like the 83s are wrapping the bottom a lot better, getting a better run off right here. I feel like Joe's just pushing his truck a lot harder than Blake is right now.
It is really interesting to see the tires wearing more on the rear. I mean, it's what you would expect with how loose they are, but a lot of the time you come through these longer runs and you just kind of expect the truck to naturally tighten up. But Hudson's truck looks to really be struggling on exit with the rears. They seem to not really be planted very well. Maybe, I think it just kind of has to do with how you drive it, is what you end up burning up here. But Hudson very clearly still fighting issues that maybe presented themselves at the beginning of a run, almost like he has cold tires.
See Lane Phillips underneath Jordan LaFon here. He's going to take that spot. Kind of a slide job by that number 6 car. A dirt guy, so he's very familiar with those types of moves. And Lane Phillips is going to take that P3 spot away from the 144.
Yeah, he made quick work of him, too. He didn't really waste too much time. Remember, not too long ago, Phillips was battling a McKellar, and now he's started to pull away. Maybe Phillips playing a little tire strategy game to try and do what he can. He's still slower than the front 2, but he is kind of the faster out of this group behind him.
Yeah, I mean, Lane has been one of the guys I've always looked at that has had the better long run pace. Someone who's really kind of maintained the truck. You don't really see him make a lot of mistakes throughout the runs here. And you're going to see him, I feel like, always have the better long run pace. And we do get that halfway point. So for the fans at home, we do have a basically a stage. We don't have a caution for it, but halfway we do get points for the stage here. I think McKellar going down pit road.
Keller's in. Does this start the pit stop? And I did not expect that, but one of the drivers who did that strategy, the same one as Joe Hudson, is going to be the first one to bring him down pit lane.
Yeah, I think McKellar, I mean, he saw that the tires really weren't prevailing here, so he's just going to say, hey, I'm going to cut this race in half, going to pit at halfway, and we're going to try something different here. I'm interested to see if this will drag everybody else down with him, though.
Nobody in that lap, at least nobody towards the front. But, yeah, very interesting because he was running slower lap times in your leaders, about a tenth and a half or so off on a regular run. But, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's really dragging anybody else down yet. I'm shocked that those guys on 102 lap older tires aren't at least a little tempted to come down right now.
Yeah, I mean, those tires have to be crying right now, like, because I mean, 102 laps. I mean, I'm astounded that they could even go 102 laps on fuel. So, very interested to see what is going to happen here. I assume that one of the guys with the older tires would come down, but surprisingly, it's the guy with the newer tires who decided to come down and split the race in half.
Yeah, really shocking. These front two, if you really look at it, they have broken away. You see it from that camera shot there. Big time from Lane Phillips. Phillips, though, is actually running pretty good times compared to them. He's slightly faster than Murray last time by. Hudson was the quickest out of the three, but all three of them are breaking into the threes consistently, which is really good. The only other driver who's hitting threes consistently is Ira Colas, who is silently been making it through the field because they pitted on 46 laps ago, so they are the best in the tire situation at the moment, except for, I guess you could say McKellar, because he just came in.
Yeah, before green flag pit stops get underway, whenever they do, I think it's a good time to go through the field here. So obviously we have Joe Hudson here, your leader. I mean, drove through the field here, took the lead away from Blake here, but here's Blake here in that P2 spot.
Yeah, Blake running in second right now. He was up in first, and he led a majority of this race, but he's right now currently where he started on that outside position. He's been doing good running with those older tires.
Lane Phillips, been up in the top four all race here, trying to run these leaders down. I mean, actually a little bit faster that lap than the leaders here, so starting to reel these guys in.
Behind them, Jordan LaFawn, he started way in the back due to a mistake in qualifying, was quickest in practice, and he has shown a ton of speed, but he's had to fight through the field all day today.
Brandon Zimmerman rounding out your top five here. What a good run for him. Kind of been silently, up here in the top five, top six all race. I mean, what a great run for him. Super, super glad to see him up here running up front.
Ira Colas has been on the charge in the 29 machine, has had to work their way through the field due to a later pit stop than everybody else, but they're in the best tire situation, currently in 6th.
P7, you have Brandon Massey in 87. Actually, Craig Schroeder might take this spot away, but we're going to look at Brandon right now, currently P7. And, quietly been sitting in the top 10, like I said. I definitely wants to get a little bit more pace out there, but still a great run for Brandon there in that number 87.
Yeah, we'll go to Craig Schroeder right now as he just technically made the pass for the 7th spot, but Schroeder, involved in an earlier crash, took an EOL, and he has also been basically had to work up through the field since then, having a good run currently in 7th.
Hensley Smith, who's coming down pit road right here, I think, right now. I think he's your 9th place driver as we talked about it. But yeah, we talked to him earlier in the race, talking about how slick the track was, but coming down pit road takes some fresh set of tires.
Leroy Koblenz is actually the driver who's in the 9th spot now after Hensley Smith came into the pits, and he's silently been running inside that top 10 almost the whole entire day. Searching. Oh, got to really loose down the front straightaway, trying to put that sim motion truck in a good points position tonight.
Lane Phillips coming down pit road here, but we're going to go to Brandon Honeycutt, I think, is probably our last driver we're going to have to cover here because green flag pit stop's underway. Brandon, you know, silently right here, just made his way back into the top 10 here. But the green flag pit stop's underway here.
Yeah, right towards the end of our kind of run through the field, or I guess you could kind of say the middle. One driver, a couple drivers yet to come in. Joe Hudson, Jordan LaFawn, two of them yet to come in, but many are down pit lane. Ira Colas on those fresher tires is actually trying to take the second spot away. Big shifts right now, nearly contact down the front stretch.
Ira going to take that P2 spot away. I mean, those tires are going to prevail here. Just took some time for him to get through the field here. He's going to take that P2 spot away. Joe Hudson, though, huge gap to him.
Trying to take advantage of this clean air to kind of pull away from these drivers who are going to be coming out of the pits. Jordan LaFawn is still dropping back, though, pretty quickly. And actually behind him, even though it's not for position, William McKellar. He was the first one to come down. He's trying to make up the ground as much as he can. Hopefully, or he is hoping that he is going to cycle out pretty good after everybody comes in.
You see the 75 trying to get around the 65 here, but the 65 making the pass. He's going to put him in that P3 spot. Here comes the 144 down pit road.
LaFawn enters the pit lane, is going to go to the attention of his pit crew for the first time tonight. 115 laps on those tires of the 144 machine, and that Toyota Tundra's got to be happy to finally go in the box and get a moment to rest.
It definitely needs the break there, and he's going to come in there, get those 4 fresh tires, and off he goes.
Zimmerman is now in as well in the 65 machine. We were talking about him a little bit during the rundown of the field, but he's one of the final drivers who has yet to pit on that original pit strategy. The only other one who I believe is out there is Brandon Sanfilippo, but Zimmerman is going to go to his pit lane and try and hopefully have a successful pit stop to get 4 fresh tires.
I'm honestly a little surprised that Joe has stayed out as long as he has here. You know, I thought with the pace he had compared to at least Murray, felt like he kind of had to mirror what he did. But see the 49 still out on track here. As I say that, I think he's coming down pit road.
Now it's time to see how much this the time out on the track. You saw right there William McKellar passed him to get a lap back. It's going to be interesting to see how the time on the track with those fresher tires is going to fare, because Joe Hudson, one of the last drivers to hit pit lane in one of those original first 2 strategies, now it allows the top 4, about to be top 5, to be populated by drivers who pitted around lap 60 or lap 69. Hudson with that first pit box is going to get in, and the sides of the truck are going to go off. 4 fresh tires, full tank of gas, I would assume, and then he'll be away.
And here comes Blake Murray coming out the start-finish line here. He's easily going to get around Joe here.
I don't know. Joe is out, and he's ahead of him, actually.
Right there, side by side here.
Joe Hudson is going to hold on to what we think. Actually, William McKellar is technically the leader right now by a while, but remember, he's on a really different strategy. McKellar has 19 laps on those tires, while Hudson has 1, and Murray has 8. But, I mean, I guess that if you save at this point, it might actually really work out for you. William McKellar has a huge lead right now over Hudson.
Yeah, McKellar, I mean, we saw, I mean, really the tires, if you can save good enough, you can really keep the tires under you. You don't really need to save a lot. I mean, you saw Blake, right, being consistently as quick as Joe on, what, 30 lap older tires. So McKellar right now is in a very, very good spot. He needs to, you know, back it down. I feel like he's got time to back it down. Joe right now is 7 seconds behind here. He needs to just start hitting his marks and have a consistent pace. I mean, he has 7 seconds to give up here. And, yeah, I think right now McKellar's really in the best spot to maybe shake things up.
I do want to go look real quick, because Lane Phillips has dropped out of the top. He's 2 laps down now. Something must have happened on the pit lap. As you guys watch him go around, I'm going to try and see if I can figure out what exactly happened to keep everybody updated at home, because I was looking for him on the timing charts, and I just could not find him. So a possible mistake. I'll get back to everybody when I figure out what happened to Lane Phillips.
Yeah, potentially speeding in pit, speed on exit, maybe unsafe pit. But yeah, definitely a heartbreaker for Lane Phillips there. 2 laps down. I mean, he's going to need a miracle to put himself back into a spot to even get on the lead lap now, with several cars 1 lap down ahead of him.
Yeah, some sort of penalty. He spent a very long time in the pit box. Just going to go look back at the entry of the pit lane, see maybe if he locked them up, trying to get the car to slow down or something. But very, very interesting. He came into the pits in 3rd place, and he's going to end up really far behind, and it was speeding. He came into the pits, he hit the line at 50 mile an hour, and it looks like it's a 40 mile an hour pit lane. So Lane Phillips speeding on pit lane.
No, I can't confer that. 40 mile an hour pit road speed here. So yeah, going 50, that is definitely way too fast here in tough break. I mean, definitely Richmond's one of the more confusing ones, because I think this is one of the only tracks on the NASCAR schedule that do have a 40. Usually it's, you know, for the short tracks it's 35, and for like the mile and a half it's 45, and then of course for the super speedways it's 60. I think Richmond is one of the more unique tracks that have a different mile per hour for pit road here. So definitely threw off that number 6 car, and I mean, mistakes happen, but that's definitely going to ruin his night most likely.
Yeah, and he just passed William McKellar to get what'll probably eventually be a lap back. But, Christian, I want you to look at the timing, because right now, William McKellar, 23.2 last time by. Joe Hudson, 22.5, 7/10 quicker, and this wasn't a mistake. The last lap, he was 5/10 quicker. Lap before that, 6/10 quicker. Joe Hudson is on the absolute move, and he is catching McKellar fast.
Yeah, you have to think, is McKellar saving tires, or is Joe pushing? Because remember, yeah, I mean, 19 laps is not really that much here at Richmond. So I'm very surprised that, I mean, he's picking him up at that rapid of a pace. I mean, look at Blake Murray, almost 2.5 seconds behind Joe. So I have a feeling that Joe might be trying to catch McKellar at a rapid pace here, because, you know, Blake is a very talented, fast driver, and he's even gapped him.
Yeah, and I feel like there's almost a little bit of a mix of both, though, because McKellar, you got to think, coming out of the pits, he needed to get past that lap. He needed to get past that traffic, and that's what he struggled with. That's really what ate up his tires. He was probably thinking when he came out of the pits, this is the opportunity. Try and take advantage of this early part on these newer tires while you have the opportunity, and it helped him leapfrog everybody, so he didn't have to work through a field, work through any drivers. So I think there's a little bit of a mix of that, and also Joe Hudson pushing his newer tires.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, William ran at 23.2, and it looks like Joe coming to line here, 22.7. So half a second quicker still. And McKellar, clean and green out in front, so really no lap traffic that would hold him up. And you can actually see Joe in the camera shot in some of these camera angles.
Yeah, he's closing in enough where he's appearing in William McKellar's shots. And, I mean, I will say, well, last time by, Joe Hudson actually was a little bit slower than Blake Murray. Maybe Murray has gotten to the point where he feels a little more comfortable going. Remember, Murray did pit about 8 laps earlier than Hudson. So, I mean, obviously it's such a short time. Like, it seems like such a small distance. But you push for a couple laps, overheat those tires a little bit, they start dropping off more and more. It's kind of, it goes, it's like a curve. The more that they get burned up, the quicker they're going to go away. So possibly Hudson's tires starting to drop off.
Yeah, I mean, Hudson, obviously, I'm going to take the latter and say that he probably burned his stuff up a little bit more than Blake. Blake felt like knew that he has a truck to win. Didn't feel like he needed to burn his stuff up to get to him. But I mean, Joe still actually, yeah, I mean, running almost equal lap times to McKellar. So I think McKellar is trying to just pace himself versus Joe, who's trying to catch back up. And I think the more he pushes, like as you said, Peter, the more he's going to burn his stuff up. But we still have to look at Craig Schroeder and Leroy Koblitz. I mean, the two Sim Motion trucks still haven't come down pit road, so still technically your race leaders, but they will have to come down sooner or later.
Yeah, and I mean, you look, obviously, it's the Sim Motion banner. They're working together here, playing a similar pitch strategy. It's nice to know that you have somebody who is on your strategy with you. Both of them have had very interesting days. Craig involved in an earlier accident, took an EOL, finds himself now in the lead. How do you think that they're going to cycle out, Christian, with how these stints work out? Do you think anybody except for them has taken another pit stop?
I think, you know, they went, what, 102 laps, so we know they can go the distance from here. I don't feel like...
On 115 even, I think.
Yeah, I mean, they went to past lap 100, so I feel like everybody they can definitely make it. And I don't think these guys can unless they're going to fuel save their way up there. But even then, if they're going to try to fuel save their way, McKellar's only 9-ish seconds behind your race leader of Craig Schroeder, and I mean, you can see Leroy in the camera shot here with William catching him.
Yeah, and maybe it is hope for a caution time, or maybe they're hoping that the tires they have at the end of this one will benefit them enough where they can close in. But at this point, when the leader comes back around the line, it's already going to be 60 to go. I don't even think that that's enough time, because you might lose, you're going to at least lose 1 lap. You could possibly lose 2. You can't afford any mistakes. And it's not like you're going to get one of those laps back by people pitting, because like you said, I don't think anybody else is going to come in. So you're going to literally have to drive your way back to the front by speed.
Yeah, I'm unsure of what the plan is here for these Sim Motion guys, but I think they're just shooting darts at the board and hoping for a bullseye here. I guess we'll see how this works out. I mean, they will have to come down and pit sooner or later here. Maybe they're shooting for 150. I have no clue of really an estimated time of when they're going to come down here, but they are definitely going to lose a lot of time here. I mean, you have these guys with, you know, 50 lap fresher tires. I mean, they're going to definitely cut into that margin regardless of what you do here. So I mean, maybe if they can pull something, some special strategy, maybe taking 2 or something to negate the time, maybe they can do something different.
Yeah, really interesting. Kensley Smith has come back down pit lane, 30 laps or so on those tires. This really, I feel like, changes a lot, because does this mean that there might be a different strategy that pops up on the board of maybe, you know, splitting this final run?
Now you have to think about it. I mean, with the lap time, you see that. I mean, you saw that at Richmond here in the Cup race, where you had a 2-stop strategy versus a 1-stop strategy, and you know, versus people who stop once, right? They're gonna be slower, but they're gonna pit 1 less time, versus the 2-stop strategy where they're gonna be faster, but they just have to pit twice. So maybe that's something there is there. You see. I mean, Craig struggling massively with that truck right now, but maybe that's something that everybody's gonna do. Maybe they are gonna do 2-stop, and Craig and Leroy are gonna try to do this 1-stop. Looks like Leroy did get passed by McKellar and Joe, and as we were talking about it, Joe Hudson did get around McKellar.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't even catch that. I didn't realize he was closing. I don't know if there was a mistake. Hudson is really hanging that thing out there. I will say quickly on the Kensley Smith thing, he has not come back out of the pit, so possibly an issue, maybe a reason he needs to go. But that might not be as much of a thing on the table as we thought it was.
Yeah, Kensley's still in the pits as we talk here, and I mean, 5 laps down now. I don't know, maybe a mechanical issue, maybe an internet issue. Looks like there wasn't any damage to that number 5 car, but hopefully, wish for the best for Kensley, and hopefully everything's okay with that machine.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked. Joe Hudson caught McKellar so fast. He was obviously kind of catching, but we watched the lap times kind of stay even. But the last couple laps, William McKellar's lap times have dropped really bad. McKellar ran a 23.7 last time by. He's running the same lap times as Leroy Koblenz, who has 98 lap old tires. McKellar on 47 lap old tires. It's almost a carbon copy of what we saw with Joe Hudson and Blake Murray, just 2 different drivers.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that 75. It seemed like I said, he was running decent laps. Looks like there's not a lot of damage on that Vault Tech machine, but I don't know what happened with the change or anything with that truck, but something has definitely gone wrong with the 75, and definitely the pace is there dropped off dramatically for that truck.
Joe Hudson now has officially taken the lead as Craig Schroeder makes it down pit lane. That I would expect would be one of the final pit stops. Him and Leroy Koblenz are probably going to... Well, Leroy's yet to come in, but I would expect once Leroy hits pit lane, which can't be too much longer, that would probably be the last pit stop. Koblenz is hitting a pit lane now. And now I think it is literally just who saved their tires the best. 50 laps to go. We've seen drivers make it upwards of 117 on laps for fuel. So fuel is not an issue for these guys. Tires is what's going to be the name of the game. 50 more trips around.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I mean, we see the 75 dropping off massively, but even Blake has not really been able to keep up with the 49 here of Hudson. I don't know if Hudson really has put the burners on to try to gap the field as much as he can. But Blake's still, I mean, a good 3.5, 4 seconds behind your race leader.
And this really worked out great for Hudson because out of the top 5, he's actually the freshest tires by a couple laps over Brandon Zimmerman, who pitted on lap 35. If you go back to 6th, Ira Colas has 26 lap older tires. We saw him on a slightly different strategy than everybody else, but he's kind of riding around on his own. You see nobody in camera shot of him, so he might not even really be a factor at this point. Still obviously a long way to go, but Hudson, freshest tires out of the top 5, leading the race. I mean, at the moment, you couldn't really ask for much more.
No, I mean, Ira really doing his best to, put that truck in a position to win for a top 5. I mean, and that really shows right there that, different pit strategy can really elevate your game and stuff. I mean, he's been patient all day, working his way through the field. I mean, he had the fresher tires on that last run, drove through the field, drove up to the lead for a little bit, and then now up here sitting in the P6 spot. I mean, he still has an 8-second lead to Brandon Zimmerman, so still a long ways to get to the next driver up front. But right now, putting himself in a really good spot to at least get a solid top 10 finish.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see where he ends up filing out when this race is over, because obviously he's shown he has good long run speed. That last run, he really came out of the gates pretty good, and he ran at 22.9 last time by, which is... he was actually slightly faster than Joe Hudson, your leader, so he's not slow. He, I think, has the speed to kind of catch Brandon Zimmerman if he has the time. Zimmerman is almost a half a track ahead, so a long way to go for Ira Colas, really on both ends. Like we said, there's only one truck really you can see, and it's behind him. That's Brandon Stanfilippo.
Yeah, Stanfilippo about 2 seconds behind there in the P7 spot, but now I think we're going to start to see some battles here for this. It's really P2 through P5 almost under a blanket here.
Yeah, Blake Murray trying to hold off, I believe that was the 58 of Schroeder, and Schroeder on those fresh tires. It's almost pointless to really try and do that. There was nearly contact between the two of them, so Schroeder not wasting much time here trying to get his elbows out so he can make the most out of these tires.
Yeah, only 1 lap down for Schroeder, so I think he'll definitely be able to get back on a lead lap, but I don't think there's enough time for him to really take advantage of those fresher tires. But you see McKelly starting to get reeled in by the 85, and you see another battle behind here with the 65 and the 144.
Yeah, and LaFon is kind of searching for what he had at the beginning of this race. The truck seems to not quite be as fast as it was. I'm not sure if it has to do with setup. Wow, the 65 got really loose. Zimmerman off the corner. He caught it, and that kind of just gave it to Jordan LaFon. Huge mistake there by Brandon Zimmerman.
Yeah, but what a save by that truck. I mean, a lot of those times when you step it out that much, I mean, that's a race-ending slide right there. So what a save by him in that 65. He's definitely going to try to get his composure back underneath him, and he's going to try to get back up to that 144. But right now, Jordan, right now, running pretty decent laps here right now. I think battling with that 56 kind of hasn't shown what his speed is right here. But right now, we have the 75 under attack once again.
Yeah, and Murray has finally actually kind of reeled in that 75 of McKellar, but you got to think, like, is it too late? Murray's still not running lap times that are comparable to Hudson. Hudson, well, actually that time by he dropped off about a tenth from what he was before. He ran a 3.1 last time by. Murray ran a 3.6. I'd love to see how he runs once he gets past the 75, if he can complete the pass in a timely manner.
Yeah, a little bit of a sketchy move. They're pushing McKellar down the trial bowl, if you want to call it that. And I'm surprised something bad didn't happen there. He's going to try to do the crossover here, I think, down the side finish line. No, he's going to push a 75 down the trial bowl once again.
He gave him a shot!
He gave him the shot, and he's going to wreck the 75.
Oh my goodness! You said it last time by that it got sketchy. That time it finally went. Oh my goodness. He not only hit him, got him sideways, but he cleaned him out.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was about. I feel like, I mean, McKellar was giving him the whole track to get around. I think he knew that he was slower and didn't really want to hold him up, but Blake was just adamant on trying to move him out of the way, and unfortunately just, I mean, he dumped him. I really don't know any other way to say that, but
yeah, I'm not sure if we missed something here. I'm trying to recall the last races that we saw here on HPTV. I cannot remember them getting into each other. I may be missing something, but both of them are hitting pit lane after that. Tons of damage for McKellar. That, I cannot believe we just saw that. 37 laps to go.
I mean, the only thing that can come to mind is in the All-Star race. Remember, they had a little bit of an altercation where I'm pretty sure, I mean, the 75 dumped Blake Murray for the win there. So maybe that's, you know, maybe some past history maybe coming back up here.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but I mean, maybe finally got his chance to go after it. It would be very interesting for that to happen in a points race when that came from a non-points race, but I mean, sometimes I think for some of these guys, it's just that was a race. This is a race, that was a race, and you got wrecked in a race, maybe you get them back. Obviously, we don't know that was intentional. It just looked really bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess the only person who knows what really happened there is that 83, because I mean that was 2 laps in a row where he didn't even try to make the pass, or he just pushed them down the tri oval, and then that second time finally got the 75 around there. Not only did he get around there, he kind of like continued to push him into turn 1 as he was spinning out. So, and the 75's wrecking under caution.
My goodness. I was looking back actually at the actual wreck. I didn't even see that. We'll see if we can get back what happened there. What is going on right now?
Yeah, I think that truck. I mean, I think maybe that truck's not driving well for William right there, but it looks like he was just trying to get the tires warmed up, trying to just get back up the pace here, and just kind of spun it out on his own here. Going to go down pit road again, and probably going to get some more damage fixed here. I mean, still a lot of scuffs and grabs and marks on this truck. So, very interesting set of circumstances in these last couple laps.
I think he hit the wall harder that time than he did in the actual accident. He got it pretty good. He backed it in pretty heavily. I was actually, when that happened, I was watching the onboard of Blake Murray, and it's hard to see stuff with steering wheel wise because obviously he was following him down the front straightaway. It's not like you can see him hook him or anything because that's not what happened, but I mean, all I see is that Blake Murray does drive in deeper when he makes contact. Like, obviously, normally what you would think you would do if you were behind somebody is you'd let off a little earlier because you don't know exactly when they're going to stop for the corner, but he did not. He kind of just drove it in, and it wasn't like he gassed it up after McKellar got around. He kind of just kept going straight and eventually finished him off. Once again, can't say that there was definitely ill intent, but it did not look very good.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like the 83 was probably the truck to compete with the 49 here, and he gets caught up in a wreck there. I don't know if he's going to take the EOL there, but lights are off on a pace car, and it's going to be 49, 144, your front row here, going into Gaku restart zone. We're going to be green once again.
33, 32 at the line, laps to go in this race. And, 32 laps to go. and he did not take the EOL on that one, so I don't know what that's going to exactly say, what that's going to entail for him, but Joe Hudson cleared 2 truck lengths now over Jordan LaFawn.
And Jordan, we saw, was fast in the beginning here. Now he's got 32 laps. There is no tire saving now. 32, not really that many laps here for a Richmond race. It's going to be pedal to the metal. You got to get up there and try to battle for this win here.
Yeah, and everybody in the top 8 took tires. Schroeder decided not to. Koblenz decided not to. So those 2 drivers staying out, I think, where they were maybe getting their laps back. And, I mean, I guess what you got to do, because now that takes away their complete benefit of those fresh tires, but it puts them in a better spot because now they're back on the lead lap.
Then Filippo makes the pass for P5, and Blake Murray's going to follow him through right here into the P6 spot. Murray trying hungry now. As you can see, ooh, what a slide by both drivers there. 83 and 13, what a save there. And you're going to see the 83 underneath the 16 here for the P5 spot.
Brandon Honeycutt got really sideways there in the 13 machine, had a great save all the way down by that white line. This is one of the few tracks in NASCAR that you don't see drivers go all the way down to the white line, or I guess you could say the yellow line, down the front straightaway. They actually run up by the wall. It just doesn't make sense to go down there without the front straightaway is curved.
Yeah, it's definitely unique track, and you almost drive this place really differently than really any other track here, as you mentioned before. But you're gonna see them kind of come up to the wall here, and it's just because of the way the weight shifts here. You can't really keep it down there on there. The truck just wants to naturally go up to the wall there on exit.
Yeah, it's got a little tri-oval like most mile and a halves in NASCAR have. But, you know, this track's so much smaller, you can't actually make the, you can't actually use the tri-oval. You can't actually really cut it, or not exactly cut it, but, you know, run that arc line, make it almost its own corner. You just can't even do that because the track's so short. As actually, kind of a battle for the lead. LaFawn has closed in on Hudson. He kind of threw one at him there, lost some ground on the entry, but he has the speed, it looks like, to maybe catch him.
Yeah, the 144 looking very quick here. Once again, I think it's just one of those things of one truck's quicker in one corner, and the other one's quicker in the other. I think 144's got him beaten 1 and 2, and I think the 49's a little bit quicker in 3 and 4 right now. So it's just going to be about who can adjust on their worst corner and make an adjustment and potentially pull away or catch up to that car in front.
And in third, Brandon Zimmerman, he is doing really good right now, keeping with these 3, because they have kind of broken away. Behind them, Colwes is 5, 6, wow, actually, a bit longer than that, maybe even 10 truck lengths back now, down the back straightaway. So Zimmerman in that front group to kind of break away for the first time today. He's got to be feeling good about that, especially because LaFawn seems to maybe have the speed to go into a battle with Hudson, could put Zimmerman in the catbird seat. Yeah,
definitely. And you're going to see, ooh, wow, close there for that 144. And he's all up the back rear end of that 49 truck now. He's definitely putting the pressure on.
Yeah, and LaFawn just showed his cards. He's going to go for any gap that is given to him. He doesn't care if you're arcing the corner because he tried it right there. He tried to stick his nose in the gap that was kind of given to him, showed to him by Hudson, and Hudson shut the door. Oh, LaFawn got really loose, put tire marks down, saved it, lost some ground.
They're going to see him. I mean, he's really trying to wrap that yellow line here. And that's the thing, though, is he's loose again. Really heated up those rear tires. He's going to have to take advantage of this and take the gaps that are given to him. But now, overheating those tires is the last thing you want to do, because now it's going to allow Joe to, you know, keep those tires cool and maintain a gap.
Yeah, I think if you're Joe Hudson, you got to be really careful if LaFawn gets back to you about arcing the corner out, because it doesn't seem like LaFawn really wants to back out of any of these gaps. Even if you don't think it's a gap, if it is big enough for the nose of his truck, doesn't even have to be his whole truck, it looks like he's going to try and take advantage of it. Got to be careful not to give up anything here.
Yeah, you got to be careful, especially when you're doing that arc line, when you have a truck that's going to be that aggressive, because you can't really turn down like you want to, and to avoid, you know, maybe turning yourself off the driver's nose, because he's not going to back out for you. He's racing for a win here. He's not going to give you the benefit of the doubt and back out to give you the space here. So if he does get back to him, he's going to have to maybe adjust his line there and run a little bit more defensively and not run that arc line.
Yeah, that takes away the whole entire point of the arc line, the late apex, because if Hudson can't do that, it's absolutely killed. Maybe this is your moment to, well, if you can't pull away, maybe this is your moment to figure out how to run the line Jordan LaFawn is running so you can take it away from him, because if he gets back to you, his line will get underneath of that 49, no question.
Like Murray, Colas right now, P4, P5 here. Blake is doing everything he can to get back up there. He knows he has a fast truck. He knows he can get up there again. Just, you know, that setback might actually potentially take him out of a contention for this podium spot here and away from an interview at the end of this race here. So he's going to be working his tail off to get back up there.
Yeah, and the other end of that accident that was involved, William McKellar's stuck back in 13th, and he is just not able to go anywhere. That damage is miring that 75 truck back, and it just cannot keep up. Unfortunate for the driver who was leading around midway through this one.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really the 75 did wrong there. Just fortunately just got kind of just ran over trying to, you know, battle for a podium there. I think he knew that his time was up trying to race for that lead with the different pit strategy, but really nothing he did wrong there. Just wrong place, wrong time. Kind of just got ran over, and unfortunately that truck is not driving the way he wants it now with all that damage.
Yeah, really unfortunate to see McKellar not get back up there, but speaking of up there, LaFawn has, well, right before we switched to this camera shot of him, he closed in a little bit and then lost some more on the exit. He seems to be struggling a little bit with the consistency of that truck on the exit of both 4 and 2. Oh my gosh, Joe Hudson just got so sideways coming off the corner.
And that's going to allow the 144 to close up to that tailgate once again. Now not even a truck length, and they're going to be back to back here going to the line here. We're going to see something happen here in the turn 1.
Joe Hudson, not only did he get loose, lost some time, but he's going to have really hot tires. Got to let him cool off here. You don't want to keep doing that because they'll just keep getting hotter and hotter, and you can't cool them off.
Coming out of turn 3 and 4 here. I mean, now if Joe has anything in the tank, he's got to use it. If he was saving anything to try to use them at the end here, he has to do it. He's got the 144 pressuring him out there, and he's got the 65. We're really starting to pressure the 144 here, and it's time to go.
Yeah, Jordan LaFawn is really proving that it is time to go, because if he gets the gap, like we said, he'll go for it. And if they make contact, Brandon Zimmerman is going to be waiting in the wings. Zimmerman has stayed close enough. LaFawn dives the truck in. He almost kind of took a shot there, sacrificed the exit, and it's going to lose tons of time there to Joe Hudson.
And he's going to lose about 2 to 3 truck lengths here, but you still see him putting a nose in there. And I think Joe's doing exactly what he needs to do right here. He's still arcing the corner because he knows he's got that little bit of the space left to arc it in. And I feel like just the line that 144 is running is not going to get there yet. He's going to have to kind of mimic what Joe's doing to at least get him an opportunity again.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That really aggressive entry, sacrificing exit doesn't seem to really be working. Like you said, he's got to do what Joe does, but he has to do it better. Jordan LaFawn has to trust that he can do it better so that he can close in. Once again, lower entry. Joe Hudson drives it down the track, and he pulls out the lead that he lost going into the corner.
And he gains on entry, just cannot keep up with that 49 on exit here. And as long as Joe continues to do that, I feel like he can stay ahead of him right here. I feel like Brandon cannot get back to the 144 to help battle, because that's probably what Joe really wants to see is this P2 and P3 battling it out here. And I think Blake is just too far back to make anything happen, aspiring a mistake by the top 3 here. So it's going to really be up to, can Joe make these 7 more mistake-free laps here?
Yeah, and he has pulled out a bigger gap over Jordan LaFawn. LaFawn changed up his corner that time. See a much wider entry, trying to drive it down the track on exit, and he is following in the tire tracks of Joe Hudson, trying everything he can. I will say Hudson is catching lap traffic. William McKellar and Sam Colas, who is on 68 lap older tires. Joe Hudson's going to probably catch him this lap, if not next time.
Yeah, lap traffic's gonna definitely be a benefactor here, and it's definitely gonna be a part of the story of who wins this race here. Will these lap cars be cordial for the 49? Yes, 28 goes up, but he's gonna stay up there. He's gonna force the 49 to not take the exit he wants here. Here comes the 44 around the 28. Really gets the line he wants here. Doesn't really gain any time here. That's still right there.
Yeah, right now though, trying to, I think McKellar will be the harder of the two to get past, because Hudson and McKellar are probably a little closer on speed. McKellar's on a little bit newer tires, even though he has the damage. I will say, I mean, I know we have 4 laps to go, but Blake Murray is not far away from catching William McKellar. And if he gets there before the white flag comes out, I would not count out something maybe that would pay him back for what he did on that caution not too long ago.
Yeah, I mean, with 3 to go here, I mean, it's going to be a close call here. If anything, it might be a white flag, kind of bump and run here or something from the McKellar machine. But you see McKellar actually holding up the 144 big time there on the exit of 2.
And now Blake Murray is catching him. He's the next car that he has to pass. Coming to 2 to go for these guys. See what McKellar does. He parked it to let everybody else by. It's going to be Murray looking at McKellar. Zimmerman is there. McKellar looks to have maybe let Murray by. We're going to see as they go down the back straightaway. And, I mean, Murray is pretty far out ahead now. About a truck length. I don't think McKellar's going to do anything. No Austin Dillening here.
I mean, that's a really gentleman thing for McKellar. I mean, I don't know what was said on the voice chat, if there was any apologies said, but we're on the white flag here. Joe Hudson going into turn 1 and 2 here. 2 more mistake-free corners, and he will, you know, walk it off here at Richmond.
Last chance, and it's nothing you can do unless you chastained it, but Joe Hudson, dominating performance. He's going to win it at Richmond. And, I mean, he really showed it. The last couple laps, he began to pull out the lead. And Jordan LaFawn, he had his last chance at it. He may not have known it was his last chance, but unfortunately for him, he's going to come runner-up to Joe Hudson.
Yeah, LaFawn just didn't have enough pace in that truck to keep up with that 49 machine. Had that chance when the 49 made that mistake, and just couldn't get to him. But Brandon Zinnemann, what a race for him in that P3 spot. What a comeback. I mean, definitely had a rocky up and down start, but well, I mean, that's definitely a great finish for him.
Yeah, we're going to let Joe Hudson celebrate. He's not going to do a burnout, but he's going to park it on the Richmond Raceway start-finish line, and the classy celebration as we wait for people to get into the waiting room so we can pull them up. Yeah, we will get them up here shortly. We're going to start with your winner, Joe Hudson, and here he is now. Joe Hudson, this is Peter and Christian up in the broadcasting booth. You got us?
Yes, sir. You got me?
I sure do. Congrats on the win, I first want to say, but it really changed there with that last caution with 30 or so laps to go. What were you thinking when that came out?
I don't really want to say it over the general public. It was a good 4-second lead there, and was just running just fast enough to, keep that 4 seconds gap. And, with the caution, anything's liable to happen, but it all worked out the way I needed it to. So, go.
Well, yeah, we got you. Yeah, it was definitely a weird set of circumstances what happened there. We don't know if there was some misfortune between those two, if those two, had gotten to each other there. But yeah. But at the end of the race, so you had that 144 right on your tail. I mean, giving you everything you had. What was going through your mind for that last restart?
Well, short tracks are hard. I've never been very good at short tracks, but I finally figured out, got it through my hard head, redneck Alabama head, that you got to slow down. And so he was getting in the corners real hard, but I was making sure I could get a straight run out. So everything he was making up getting in, I was getting back plus a little bit. And that's all I was really just wanted to hit my marks and make sure I pull it off the corner straight without really lighting the tires up in the rear, which is really, really easy to do. And it's really easy to overdrive the corner. So that's just all I wanted to do was make sure I could get off the corner, and I would take my chances with that.
Well, you say they're not your bread and butter, but I raced with you at IRP and you finished really good there, and then you win here tonight. So I'd say you may have started to figure them out a little bit. But before we send you off, anybody you would like to thank for your win here tonight?
Yeah, you guys for doing the broadcast. I always go back and watch it, and it goes do a phenomenal job. Slingshot Racing for putting the league on and broadcasting. I've admin before. It's a lot of work behind the scenes to make these races, and they're not making any money off it. They're doing it just because they like it. So thank you to John and everybody at Slingshot. And today got invited to join Complete Motorsports with John, and he painted me up that Sharp truck, and we all talked throughout the race and tried to help each other. And I look for a lot of good things out of those guys going forward. I'm glad to be a part of their team.
Well, we're happy to hear that you could put it in victory lane for your first race with them, and we're going to send you back to celebrate with your brand new team.
All right, you guys have a great night, and we'll try it again next week. Next week, dirt, and that's going to be something else. So we'll see you then.
All right. Hopefully we get to talk to you again next week on the dirt.
That'd be great. See ya.
See ya. That was Joe Hudson, your winner here tonight at Richmond. And I think we're going to work on getting Jordan LaFawn, your second place driver. Jordan LaFawn, this is Peter Terrio and Christian Delgado up in the HV TV booth. You got us?
Hey, Pete. Hey, Christian. How we doing tonight, gentlemen?
We're doing great. And you finished second, so you got to be doing at least pretty good.
Yeah, we would have liked to finish one spot up, but we'll take a second. All right.
Yeah,
We'll take a second.
Yeah, you definitely were putting the pressure on there. I mean, you saw that 49, make a little bit of a mistake there. Or was with 10 or so laps to go there, and you were there, just couldn't get it done there. But I mean, John wanted to know he wanted to know what you finished at Nashville, Iowa, and Daytona, just to let the fans at home know, like, that you might be up there in a contender maybe for this championship.
Yeah. I was just sitting down there in the waiting room, talking with Brandon. We don't have a whole lot of time in these trucks, and I got a few teammates over at NLR Team Conti with Blake and Bryce and Ty, and it was Keith, and they kind of talked me into running this whole Slingshot Sim Racing Truck League, man, and I'm having a blast. But now, with that being said, there's a few of these tracks that I don't really have a whole lot of seat time in, and Iowa and Nashville being one of those, we didn't have very good runs. But like I said, I would have liked to park at one spot up there and get my playoff spot. But that didn't happen. Congrats to Joe. He drove the wheels off of that truck. He did make a mistake there with, I think it was 10 or 11 laps to go. Tried to stick my nose up underneath there. It didn't work. I gave it all I had.
Yeah, well, I can't help but notice that your Discord profile photo is a dirt street stock. And next week, I think you know what I'm going to say. We're going to Knoxville.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you feel about your chances next week at Knoxville?
Honestly, that was the race on the schedule that intrigued me the most. I do come from the dirt side. I run dirt religiously, and hopefully we can park it next week. That'd be cool.
Well,
Yeah,
we definitely know that you got a bunch of your teammates that also come from the dirt side, so I think you guys are definitely going to put a great show on for the fans at home next week. I mean, we got to, there's not a lot of cases where we have a lot of dirt guys that are actually like running the trucks or running anything, right? So I'm definitely very, very excited to see you guys put on a show. But before we let you go, anybody you want to shout out, any friends, family, any sponsors, anybody at home watching?
Yeah, all the guys over at NLR House of Speed, Tunnel Vision by Hackney for giving me this beautiful truck. GY6RN, Big Bacon Media Gaming, Lawn Crafters Lawn Care. You guys up there at High Velocity TV for the broadcast. John for taking over the league, and hopefully we get to talk to you guys again next week there at Knoxville.
Yeah, we're really hoping we get to talk to you again as well.
Man.
And, sounds like there's a good chance we do.
Man, hopefully me and the gang can put on a show for you guys next week. It should be a lot of fun. I'm digging the whole 15 lap heat race format, and then the 50 lap feature there afterwards. So we'll see how it goes. It should be a fun night, and like I said, hopefully I can talk to you guys at the end of the night.
Well, we're expecting to talk to you, so you better perform well.
Oh man, don't do that to me. Don't do that. Don't do that to me.
We're gonna send you back so you can celebrate the second place, and then so you can start focusing on Knoxville. But once again, great run tonight, and hopefully we talk to you again next week.
All right, boys. You guys have a good rest of your night. Okay.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Jordan LaFawn in the second place position. We're going to get your final podium finisher, Brandon Zimmerman. Brandon, this is Peter and Christian up in the HBTV broadcasting booth. You got us?
I got you, buddy.
Well, third place run tonight, and sneaking kind of into that top three. Obviously, we saw you around that top five the whole entire race, but you were kind of just waiting in the wings. Were you hoping that they might get together in front of you so you could sneak by?
I definitely was, man. Those last 15, 20 laps, I felt like all three of us were giving it all we had. We were all like drifting the corner and going at it, and I was really hoping they'd get side by side and get to racing. But Hudson just had to set up. Just couldn't get to him.
Yeah, very kind of up and down race for you. I mean, as low as 13th, high of thirds, but I mean, it seemed like you were always up there kind of sneakily in the top five and was up there trying to, contend for the win there. But besides that, when it came to the pit strategy, I mean, were you surprised to see, like the Joe and I think it was McKellar come down so early to take those set of tires? And what was your plan going into the race? Were you trying to split the race in half, or were you trying to do something different?
I'm not gonna lie to you. The past couple of weeks, I've been trying to run better, and I'm always behind Blake Murray and the Team Conti guys. So I said, whatever they're doing tonight, I'm doing. And I was surprised seeing Joe and them go like lap 40, I think. But I had no idea I was going to be doing 100 plus laps on one set of tires. I'm shocked it lasted that long. But yeah, that was the plan, to follow those Team Conti guys and do what they did.
Yeah, we were shocked too, I'll be honest. But next week, moving on from Richmond, next week, Knoxville. How are you feeling about your chances on the dirt there?
Yeah, not good at all. I heard you talk to the last guy, and he's happy for it. I'm not. I'm not a dirt guy, so I gotta put some laps in this week and try to get a good feel for it, and hopefully don't embarrass myself.
In Knoxville, definitely. I mean, kind of like the oddball race there. I mean, it's kind of like going to the Clash or something at the start of the season. So definitely some of you guys kind of out of your wheelhouse there. But I guess for some guys, like as for Jordan and some of those dirt guys, right at home for them. But yeah, definitely an interesting track choice for that. But before we let you go here, anybody want to shout out any friends and family, any sponsors, or anybody watching at home?
Yeah, I shout out my teammates at DEI. Great group of guys. Love racing with them. You guys for broadcasting. And Joe and John and all them at Slingshot for putting this together. It's a really fun competitive league, and I'm having a great time in it.
Yeah, well, once again, congrats on your third place finish and the podium. And I know you're not happy with your chances next week, but we're hoping we get to talk to you again next week.
I appreciate it, buddy. You have a good night.
You too. That was Brandon Zimmerman, your third place finisher. And Christian, I think we're heading to the results here.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and bring up your race results here, brought to you by High Velocity TV. So Joe Hudson, your race winner here. You saw that exciting finish there at the end there. Jordan LaFon not quite being able to get to him and to take that one away, but still a great run for him. Brandon Zimmerman, as we just talked to, rounding out your top 3. And Blake Murray, you know, we thought maybe kind of one of the guys to beat here is going to be your fast 4. And then Ira Colas, what a run by him, but he's going to round out your top 5.
Brandon Sanfilippo is going to be in the 16th position. Brandon Honeycutt, the winner last week, is going to be finishing in 7th. Sorry, I said Sanfilippo finished in 16th. He finished in 6th. Jeremy Vaughn finished in 8th. Craig Schroeder finished in 9th. Leroy Koblenz, Schroeder's teammate, finished in 10th.
You see Lane Phillips. Fast truck here, unfortunately, had that pit road speeding incident. Really kind of derailed his night. But he's going to round out in 11th, the last car in the lead lap. William McKellar getting caught up in that wreck towards the end there with the 83. Going to finish 12th, 1 lap down. Sam Kohlhaas also 1 lap down at 13th, along with Brandon Massey in 14th. James Smith, the last car that finished the race 2 laps down, will finish in 15th.
And then all the drivers who did not finish the race: Kensley Smith in 16th, John Fowler 17th, Bryce Dickinson finishes in 18th, Ty Dickinson finishes 19th, Xander DeForge, you saw a couple of his wrecks, he finishes in 20th, and then the final 2 spots, Cody DeForge and actually John Rouse did not take the field, so Cody DeForge is your final spot, and that is your race results unofficially here from Richmond.
Well, Peter, I mean, definitely a lot of calamity, a lot of, I mean, varying strategies happening there, right? We had, you know, that little short spurt of cautions towards the beginning of the race, and then, you know, everybody kind of straightened up, got that long green flag run, and we got to see some very interesting pit strategies, and then that wild caution at the end kind of stacked everybody back together, but definitely an interesting race here.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how what came out of this week goes into next week, especially, I think everybody knows what I'm talking about, with Murray and McKellar coming together. Interesting to see if that might come back, maybe come back to show itself next week or later on in the season, because McKellar kind of had his chance to go at him, kind of do a Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano kind of thing at Martinsville, but he didn't. And that was really the gentlemanly thing to do. And obviously, like we said, we don't even know if there was anything that happened before that was the cause of that initiated that. But, I mean, that's something we're going to probably... I think everybody at home might be hoping we get to see that play out. We got a little rivalry going on here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw McKellar and Blake get into it in the All-Star race, and we see it kind of come together here, except on the other side. So, we might see a little bit of a, as we call, beef here in the SSR Truck Series. But what a finish! What a great win for Joe. But I think it's time to wrap it up here. But once again, this was Christian Delgado. My name is Christian Delgado, and HVTV booth. Also your producer here. And once again, we had Peter here. So once again, thank you, Peter, for so much for coming up and being a part of the booth. But I think we're gonna go and wrap it up for the night here. So once again, this was the SSR Truck Series race here at Richmond for the Sweet Tea Gang Truck Series. Once again, have to give a huge shout out to all the league sponsors and all the admins there, to John Ross, to Russell Martin and everybody else who are running the show in the background. Have to give a huge shout out to the league sponsors: Scary Strokes, Race Memorabilia, Racing, and everybody else who supports the league. But besides that, guys, I think it's time for us to go night-night, and we'll see you guys right back here next week for Knoxville. So once again, from everybody over here at the High Velocity booth, we will see you guys soon. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday night, and we will see you guys soon. All right. Good night, everybody.